It's a win for Manchin. It's a little bit of a grin and bear it moment for the Biden administration.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by energy and environment reporter Breanne Deppisch. Breanne, we've been talking about the Mountain Valley Pipeline. There's been a lot of controversy surrounding it. Typically, these pipelines, you get a lot of debate between environmental groups and people who want to see more energy development. What is the status of the pipeline right now?
Yes, so the status is finally, after 5 years of delays, court delays, all sorts of holdups, it has finally got its final seal of approval from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. They greenlit the Mountain Valley Pipeline. That is the 303 square mile pipeline that will bring about 2 billion cubic feet of natural gas from Manchin's home state of West Virginia to Southern Virginia once it's operational. If you remember, this was really agreed upon to secure Manchin's yes vote on the Inflation Reduction Act late last year. And ever since then, they've been trying to push it through in various forms, and they finally agreed to it in the debt ceiling negotiation earlier this summer.
And so Senator Manchin was obviously very important, and the Inflation Reduction Act was billed by a lot of people as a climate bill, climate legislation, in addition to whatever inflation-related and economic stimulus-related things it was supposed to be doing. So clearly, getting this approved is a win for Manchin.
It's a win for Manchin. It's a little bit of a grin and bear it moment for the Biden administration. As you know, Biden had campaigned largely on a promise to end these sorts of big fossil fuel projects, but it is something that was necessary if Biden hoped to, push through that massive climate and clean energy spending bill. So, they have signaled their support for it, and the operating company actually said it could begin operations as early as the end of the year.
So as Biden makes a certain amount of peace with Manchin, the administration is having a fight with people who make cars, the auto manufacturers.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about what the latest sort of dispute in this area is.
Yeah, it's actually in relation to the EPA's new proposed rules targeting vehicle emissions. So if you remember, Biden signed an executive order in 2021 targeting or setting a goal basically that mandates that 50% of all new vehicle sales by 2030 be electric vehicles. This crucially included plug-in hybrids, all sorts of hydrogen-fueled vehicles, which make up a small set of EVs. But yeah, basically this new emissions law from the EPA, or this emissions proposal, seeks to create this new target of 60% by 2030 and 67% by 2032, and it only extends it to battery electric vehicles. And yes, the top U.S. auto trade group really came out swinging against this. They said in a new memo to EPA that this was just, they're doing things all wrong, that their modeling looks like a hockey stick in terms of the rate of EV adoption that it would require, and that they are really shooting themselves in the foot by not including hybrid plug-in electric vehicles, which are way less critical mineral intensive than the batteries required for just purely electric vehicles.
So we're filming this at a time when there are a lot of alerts about air quality, and we've seen different periods here in the nation's capital of a lot of smog. This has been happening in other cities, and the big culprit that keeps getting named is these wildfires in Canada. But wildfires have become, no pun intended, a burning environmental issue, right?
They definitely have. We've been hit, for several weeks. We've had the Northeast, the Midwest has seen, I think, the first real intense air quality warnings as a result of this wildfire smoke. This is dangerous because it contains not only certain toxic substances just from the smoke itself, but also particulate matter, which can get into the lungs, settle in the airways. For people with pre-existing conditions like asthma, this can trigger bronchitis, COPD, lots of things like that. For other people, this can, trigger strokes and, heart certain heart conditions and things like that. So it's really not great for anyone to be around. Experts that I spoke to recommended, maybe an N95 mask to limit particulate exposure, but other than that, they just recommend really staying inside as much as possible. And
Right, we have seen sort of the readoption of masks, particularly a little bit less this time around, but when we had a really bad sort of burst of this a few weeks ago, you started seeing a lot of people wearing masks again.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's really interesting to see. We're not really sure when this will go away because Canada continues to see the amount of wildfires there has actually only increased. I believe it was at that point in time there were around 450 wildfires burning. Now it's closer to 500, and that's something they're really struggling to put out.
Thank you, Breanne.
Thank you.
You can read Breanne and subscribe to our Daily on Energy newsletter at washingtonexaminer.com.